Dear students, as we have started the lesson, The Summit Within, we have completed a little portion of it, and today we will resume the lesson right from the page number 78. I request all of you to take 78th page from your textbook. And the last paragraph you need to concentrate. Consider a typical climb towards the summit on the last heights. We can consider this summit of the Mount Everest. It was such a typical climb. Nobody can climb up the mountain that very easily. Okay? And you are sharing a rope with another climber. You form in, he cuts the steps in the hard ice, then he belays and you inch your way up. The climb is grim and you strain every nerve as you take every step. Famous climbers have left records of the help given by others. They have also recorded how they needed just that help. Else they might have given up. Breathing is difficult. You curse yourself for having let yourself in for this. You wonder why you ever undertook the ascent. There are moments when you feel like going back. It would be sheer relief to go down instead of up, but almost at once you snap out of that mood. There is something in you that does not let you give up the struggle. In this paragraph, HPS Ahluwalia explains how difficult the way that we take up or ascending of the Mount Everest. Sometimes the mountaineers has to share the help or the rope from the other. They have to cut the ice whenever they are taking the step or moving forward the Mount Everest. We are sharing a rope with another climber. So through this we can understand the climbers or the mountaineers must have good cooperation. Unless they have cooperation, they cannot ascend the Mount Everest. They have to share the rope, they have to go together, and they should also must be friendly with each other, because when you are doing something difficult, when you are keeping your life in risk, you put your life in risk at that moment. Unless you depend on others, unless you share the help or the cooperation from others, you cannot succeed. Here he says that it is really such a difficult climb. You form and he cuts the steps in the hard ice. He, in the sense, the other climber cuts the ice on the mountain and take the step when they are ascending the Mount Everest. And then he belays and you inch your way up. Every inch that you crosses is a great task. Okay, taking an inch of distance when you are climbing or moving forward is such a difficult task. The climb is grim and you strain every nerve. The climb is grim means very, very difficult. Okay, sometimes the climber feels that they just wanted to give up halfway and go back. Okay, you strain every nerve of your body would strain as you take every step. As you take every step, every nerve of your body will strain much. And famous climbers have left records of the help given by others. Even the world famous climbers also taken up the help of others. So depending on others and taking the help of others is a very common deed when the climber or the mountaineer moving up. So they have also recorded how they needed just that help. Okay, you as a mountaineer, you just look at the climber. He can't be independent. Okay, every single mountaineer or a climber need to depend on others for help. Unless you take that help, you cannot move an inch. Else they might have given up. Otherwise, they might have given up the trial of reaching the Mount Everest. Breathing is difficult. The moment you are moving up, okay, you strain yourself. Every ounce of your energy, in the previous class we discussed, every ounce of your energy would be going down. Okay, and you lose your energy and you feel much fatigue, tiredness, isn't it? And breathing is very, very difficult when you move up, and you curse yourself for having let yourself in for this. Sometimes you feel like this, why did I take this attempt? Why I just determined to move up the Mount Everest? Why this kind of, different kind of thought had arose in my mind. Such kind of thoughts would arise in you. Okay, sometimes you curse yourself. What is the opposite word for curse? Curse, boon. Okay, curse and boon. You get, blaming yourself for taking this kind of determination of climbing up the Mount Everest, right? And you wonder why you ever undertook the ascent. There are moments when you feel like going back. Sometimes the mountaineers feel like going home. They become so homesick and they can't stay alone, leaving their family out there, and taking up this kind of difficult task is really the life-risking thing. And it would be sheer relief to go down instead of moving up. Instead of moving up, going back or going down or climbing down is sheer relief you feel. Okay, you just prepare your mind, or you keeping, you yourself will be taking a kind of psychological feel that why should I go up, let me go back. And but almost at once you snap out of that mood, there is something in you that does not let you give up. So when that idea flashes in your mind, at the same moment another idea is also, another thought is also flashing in your mind. What's that? That is giving up. Instead of giving up, you just wanted to go up or going in an ascending way. You just wanted to ascend the Mount Everest. There is something in you. I don't know what kind of feel that comes in you, or the spirit that will not let you give up. Okay, even if your bodily or physical exhaustion is very common with everybody. Even if your physical exhaustion is letting you to take a back step, but within the spirit which is lying within you is not at all letting you go down or giving up. Let us move on to page number 79. And you go on, your companion keeps up with you, just another 50 feet or 100 maybe. You ask yourself, is there no end? You look at your companion, he looks at you, you draw inspiration from each other, and then without first being aware of it, you are at the summit. You might be having a great struggle within you, and maybe you feel like going back, but within the mind and the spirit will not let you give up. And sometimes you would be looking at the co-climber, and he would be looking back at you, and each one of you inspiring each other, having the support, and you would be moving. Your companion keeps on helping you, keeps up with you. Just another 50 feet. He would be telling you that just another 50 feet, another 100 feet, like that. Each one of you would be talking and inspiring and making yourself strengthen. You can't gather all your spirit. Okay, sometimes your friend or a companion, the co-climber would let you move up. So association or being friendly and cooperation are very, very important here. Unity is very much required. There is no competition actually. You would go first or I would go first. But each one of them, all the climbers, we call it as expedition. Okay, expedition is nothing but the mission, M-I-S-S-I-O-N. Mission means a team of members are moving to Mount Everest. Whoever reaches first would be the first climber in that expedition. But still, people have very good cooperation and association. Because of that association only, you may move forward. Let us come to the next paragraph. Looking round from the summit, you tell yourself that it was worthwhile. Other silvery peaks appear through the clouds. If you are lucky, the sun may be on there. Mostly when you go to Mount Everest or Himalayan range, the mountain range of Himalayas, usually you can't see the sun anymore. Suppose if the sun is shining so brightly on that particular day when you are climbing, that you are very lucky. It means most of the days in the in the Himalayan mountain range, you never come across the sunshine. Sun is there, but sun you can't be seen. The sun is always hiding within the clouds. Okay, so if the sun can be seen, that you are very lucky, and that day was such a luckiest day, because you can take your move little forward and you can make a quick move, isn't it? And looking down from the summit, you tell yourself, sometimes looking at the summit, you will be talking to yourself, it was worthwhile. What does it mean by worthwhile? It's useful, it's very essential, it's very important. Okay, it's such a great event of climbing or ascending Mount Everest. Okay, other silvery peaks other than the Mount Everest, other silvery peaks of this Mount Everest, okay, the Himalayan mountain range. The other silvery peaks means the other little heights appear through the clouds. You can see through the clouds the little peaks of the silvery mountains. If you are lucky, the sun may be on them. The surrounding peaks look like a jeweled necklace. Okay, so around this Mount Everest, the other little mountains were looking like a necklace. It's a jewel necklace. What is the difference between jewelry? What is the difference between jewelry and ornaments? Can you please tell me? Ornaments means they have no stonework. Whenever you have the stonework, there is jewelry. Okay? Ornaments and jewelry is not the same. Ornaments means it's just a silver or gold ornament itself. It is not consisting any stonework on it. Whenever you come across the stonework which is laid on the silver or gold, it's called jewelry. Okay, so when you are climbing up the Mount Everest, the other small peaks of Himalayan range is looking like a jewelry, a necklace, jeweled necklace around the neck of your summit. What is that summit? That summit is none other than the Mount Everest. Below you see vast valleys sloping into the distance. Okay, certain valleys also you can see. The foot of the hill is ended by a valley. Okay, at the foot of the hill and the top of the hill and the middle portion of the hill. Okay, when the climbers are climbing up, whenever they are looking back, they could see the deep valleys and the high little mountains, which are lesser height when we compare to this Mount Everest. Below you see vast valleys. Vast means very big valleys you can see, and sloping into the distance. In the sloping into the distance, and it is an ennobling, enriching experience. Okay, ennobling means making you to learn. Okay, and enriching experience. Your experience is enriched. A very good experience you would be getting it to just look down from the summit of a mountain. When you are looking at the summit from the place wherever you reside at the summit, you will be really wondered. You bow down and make your obedience. Whenever you look at the Mount Everest, you bow down. As we have already learned that we or the climbers can consider themselves very low or very small, you know, when compared to the great and the vast universe, because Mount Everest is such a huge and a great natural structure. In front of that you will be looking so small. So a person who ever goes to Mount Everest in the expedition of ascending it, they will be considering themselves very, very low and very small indeed. Okay, you will be ennobling enriching experience to just look down from the summit of a mountain. You bow down and make your obedience. Usually you would be showing your obedience or obeisance, not obedience, make your obeisance, obeisance in the sense, show your obedience, correct. Obeisance is nothing but obedience to whichever God you worship. Okay, whichever the God that you worship and you consider as your God, okay, after going there, you would become more spiritual and you would be praying your God on seeing the great structure of the Mount Everest. Okay, the remaining part of this lesson will be continued in the next class, and you are requested to read the textbook so that you yourself can analyze the content on which you are learning. These are all the experiences and the lessons that HPS Ahluwalia had learnt at the moment of climbing the Mount Everest. Until we meet again, goodbye and take care.